Good evening. Welcome to the Red Hook Town Board meeting of February 14th, 2017. Would you be kind enough to rise with us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone at home. We want you to know we love this community so much we decided to spend Valentine's working on our agenda here in February. So this is the first meeting of the month. We'll take a moment with Steve and the camera, if we could, to take a look at the agenda so you can see the items that we'll be discussing tonight. Many of these things are items that are a carryover from previous meetings. We'll be looking at updating 2 laws with items 1 and 2. We also have, I should scroll down a little bit, we have a public hearing at 7:35, which is in just a minute. And that is for our zoning map amendment law update that we are doing as the first item. And then we are going to be working on reorganization for our committees and a couple of different discussions. And I'd like to bring your attention also to potentially we'll be changing the second meeting of the month dates for both February and March. Okay, so why don't we jump right into the meeting, because I know everybody wants to get home to their loved one or to their nightly routine. So we do have a public hearing at 7:35.
Good.
Why don't we go ahead and call that now? Sue, you have the announcement for the public hearing? Thank you.
Notice of public hearing, Town of Red Hook. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Town Board of the Town of Red Hook on February 14th, 2017 at 7:35 p.m. local time at the Town Hall, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York, to hear all interested persons on a proposed local law number B, proposed of 2017, entitled A Local Law to Amend Section 143-7, entitled Zoning District Map, to amend the zoning district map to rezone a portion of a parcel from TND-R to TND-CC, and to rezone certain parcels from R1.5 to I. The proposed local law would rezone certain parcels of land identified as tax parcel numbers. They all actually begin with 6173, so I think I'll just, it goes 617300, then it's 592825, the next lot is 608819, the next one is 588801, the next one is 580772. Next is 569759. The next is 577781. The next is 589760. Next 597753. 600815. 629732. And 617300640758, located on Route 103, Annandale Road, from R1.5 residential, R15 to I institutional. Please take further notice that copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the Town Hall, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York. The Town Board has classified the action as a Type 1 action and declared its lead its intent to serve as lead agency for the matter. All interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard in person or by directing comments in writing to the town board, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York. All reasonable accommodations will be made for persons with disability. In such a case, please notify the town clerk in advance at the above address or by phone 845-758-4606 so that arrangements can be made. By order of the town board of the town of Red Hook, dated January 26, 2017, Sue McCann, town clerk. And required by law, they were sent to Poughkeepsie Journal. They were published in the Freeman, on our town website, posted at town hall, were sent to the two villages, and property owners that are affected by this were also notified.
Thank you very much, Sue. Okay, opening the public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to make comments about the public hearing? Very good. Linda, if you'd be kind enough to come up and state your name and address.
Linda Keeling, Pitcher Lane, Red Hook. I would like some clarification on the properties in particular. Those that are changing from residential to institutional, will there be a loss of taxes now or in the future with that changeover?
Okay, thank you, Linda. I'll first of all direct you and the folks at home to the map up on the big screen so they can understand the majority of the properties that are being rezoned. It is along Annandale Road there, the Bard campus area for folks at home, if they're familiar. They can see that the institutional district is the properties both across the road and below. And what we are doing is expanding that district to include all of those parcels, as you can see, almost all of which are already owned by Bard College. And so the zoning will not affect the tax implications for those parcels just because of the change in, what will change is what they can use those parcels for. And so if we have a residential 1.5, if you look at our bulk regs and district use table, you can see all the various uses that are allowed there. What isn't allowed is things like offices and so on and so forth, which the college, as it grows, will need to do so intelligently and in keeping with our overall plan. So this allows them logical expansion. In fact, areas that I think most of our residents already think is institutional. And so those are the parcels there. And there's one other parcel that's behind us, which is the Wilms property, which is more of a correction than anything of a few feet.
Will Bard College be giving some pilot money? Because it's costing the town money to change it for them. So are they being nice and offsetting the costs to the town?
Actually, they're paying for the cost of the rezoning because this is a rezone that benefits them. So there will be no cost to the town for the rezoning.
All right, good.
Okay. Okay, any other comments here for the public hearing? If not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much. So we will get back to this agenda item. First, we are going to go to the beginning, and as we do every first meeting of the month, take care of some financial stuff. We're going to have the supervisor's report, which is in your packets. And Steve is now up on the screen for folks at home to see. This is the report for the previous month of our meeting. And it is for the period ending January 31st. And so what I typically do for the benefit of the folks at home is to read off the balances. And that's coming up in just a moment. So our opening balance is $3,636,443. Receipts of $933,786. Disbursements of approximately a similar number, $936,425, with a balance of $3,625,804.55. Along with this, I supply for the board members statements, and we do have some budget adjustments after we move to approve the supervisor's report. Are there any questions about the report?
None for me.
Okay. If not, is there a motion to approve the supervisor's report?
So move.
Okay. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and there are just a couple of adjustments this month from Anne in our packet. If you have any questions about them. She advises me these are the last budget adjustments we'll be making for 2016 figures. She and Debbie are working on all the financials for the AUD, which we will have by the end of the month. Okay. A motion to approve the budget adjustments?
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we also have the clerk's report, and I believe it's an annual clerk's report.
Well, we also have the monthly report.
Okay.
But as my office is required, submitting to the town board my financial report for 2016 for the town clerk position and also for the tax receiver. So the town board has been given a copy of that. I guess I could read the financial report here. Town clerk fees, the total of that was collected $39,947.99. The town revenue out of that was $22,642.11, and the state and county revenue was $17,305.88. I also collect the water revenue. The total water revenue was $116,256.50. Collected $1,400 in penalty, $200 in a reconnect fee. So total revenues collected is $157,809.80, and the paperwork goes along with it. And then the tax receiver, this is for 2016. The total warrant was $8,699,876.63. The town received $3,152,585.61, and the balance goes to the county, and there is also unpaid that the county then will try to collect. My January monthly report. Total local shares remitted as town revenue, $5,998.38. Amount remitted to New York Ag and Markets for the spade and neutered program, $88. Amount remitted to New York State Department of Health for marriage licenses, $22.50. And amount remitted to New York State Environmental Conservation, $23.62, for a total state, county, and local revenue of $6,132.50. And that's pursuant to Section 27, Sub 1 of the town law. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a full and true statement of all fees and monies received by me, Sue McCann, town clerk for the town of Red Hook, in connection with my office.
Very good. Thank you very much, Sue. Is there a motion to approve the town clerk's report?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Okay, we'll move right into announcements. just a couple of very quick
Can
announcements.
were you gonna make the
Yes.
announcement about the tax info? Good,
Yeah,
very good.
well, unless you'd
No,
like
no,
to.
no,
Okay.
no, that's
Fine.
just,
We have three announcements, or at least I have three announcements to make this evening. One is just a follow-up. At our last meeting, you heard that we did get certified as a clean energy community. We were the fourth in New York State, fourth township. And we just didn't know how much we would get in grant funds. And we received word a couple days later that we would in fact receive $100,000. Provided we get the application in within the next 3 months and it meets generally the criteria set out in the program, and so that's very good news. Congratulations, of course, to all that contributed to that effort here in Town Hall. The second notice I want to make is to let the folks know that Town Hall will be used in the event we have a power outage, as we did yesterday. Last evening, Town Hall was open until 10 o'clock for folks as a warming station and also to help them find alternate places to stay. Fortunately, it was not necessary to have folks stay here overnight. Central Hudson got power back on for all but 40 households here in Tivoli and Red Hook after being out of power over 3,000 households during the course of the day. But we didn't know when restoration would happen. In fact, they had to reroute power in order to get us all back online. So we want to let you know that in the event we have one of these outages, we'll be using Town Hall as a place to assist you. You can come get warm, get water. We can help guide you to alternate places to stay, perhaps. We want to thank the Red Hook Inn, who was very helpful in also making their place available for folks. And so we'll put the signs out front. We have some signs to let folks know in cases like that. But just so you know that we'll be here at Town Hall and hopefully able to assist you. The third announcement, which Sue began to reference, is that we want to let you know that our town website, redhook.org, has a lot of information on it. And one of the things we'd like to draw to your attention is the top right here. I don't know, Steve, if the folks can see my cursor over here wiggling around, but we have all the tax status information, so if you'd like to look up your tax bill and find out how much it was, whether or not it's paid, you can, and you just click on this link here and it'll give you a lot of the information. It'll break it down by school taxes, local taxes, and we think it's a handy feature to have, and hopefully again, trying to bring government a little closer to you and make it a little easier for you to use. So thanks very much, Sue, for recommending that we take a look at it tonight.
It goes back to
advise people at home.
2001. It goes as far back as 2001.
2001, so it's got a lot of historic data there, so very good. Okay, so that's all I have for announcements, except to remind everyone that the Special Olympics is this weekend, and obviously if you're watching at home, it's too late to let you know. But all right, any other announcements? No, okay. Public comments? Any public comments? All right, Linda, back up.
Okay.
All right.
Linda Keelan, Pitcher Lane, Red Hook. I'd like to know, number one, what is the policy for minutes from particular groups that are official for the town?
We post the minutes on the town website. They're submitted at our second town board meeting of each month is when we review the committees. We actually read. Sometimes we have to be a little more concise, but we'll read the minutes at those meetings as well. And we try to get them up on the web, the most current minutes as possible.
In particular, the ZRC still does not have its minutes after July,
Okay.
and that needs to be upgraded
Okay.
since a document was given to you, the town board, on food trucks. And if they don't meet, or they have no minutes, that document doesn't really exist.
Right.
They didn't vote on it.
Right.
The other
Just-
thing.
Just to be clear, our committees are just advisory, and so while they do forward some recommendations to us, it's really just in advance of the process actually starting and beginning. We don't even have any language yet crafted for food trucks. That was their recommendations, and obviously that's going to be tailored a lot, and we'd like your input and those individuals who are interested in that topic to chime in as much as possible.
The other thing is the intermunicipal task force has been meeting, but what is being generated are report notes, not minutes. And so the public has no idea what really went on for each of the meetings. And in addition, the doors are locked. So it makes it look like it's a secretive thing going on.
Okay, I'd be happy to address that. The meeting happens at 8 in the morning. The side door is open and there is a little yellow stickum, it's not so little but big enough, that says, please use side door for ITF meeting. That's placed outside. Because we don't have the ability to make sure that, you know, an individual coming in the front is here for that meeting. We can on the back door.
Is the back door handicap accessible?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is.
Mhm.
I think it is.
Yeah, just go around.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, the front door is the normal door to go through. And
Right.
so you should put a sign there
correct.
that
We-
they need to go to the side door then.
There is, I put a stick-up there
Oh,
that says side door is open for the meeting.
okay.
All right.
And let me see.
You'll have a chance at the end too.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I'll wait.
All right, very good. Thank you, anyone else? All right, well,
Through the
um,
system.
let's get to agenda item number 1, which is the zoning district map update. We left off, we've done some seeker work, we've got more seeker work to do. We referred this out to agencies, we received their responses, planning boards, county planning board, referral. All of that is included in your packet, your very thick packet. There's the consent from the planning board to have the town board be the lead agency. There is their local waterfront revitalization program consistency determination from the planning board, as well as the coastal assessment form. You'll see also the response from county planning saying it's a matter of local concern. We also received from our planner an archaeological study conducted on the one site that is currently under, or about to begin construction for an addition on Annandale Road. So we have seeker work, so we need to do our LWRP determination. And we have our part 2 and our part 3 and a sample neg deck.
So I move that we do all three.
Okay, have you had a chance, Bill, to review the LWRP?
Yeah, we've been over this
Okay.
for many years.
Okay. So, we study any action that we take to see if it's consistent with our development policies, our fish and wildlife policies, our flooding and erosion hazard policies, general public access, recreation, historic resources, agricultural lands, energy and ice management policy, water and air resources. And that is part of what we look at to see if it's complete, if it's complies with our LWRP. And so if there are no suggested changes,
And could the board make sure that the LWRP in the packet that they're looking at is the one
Oh,
that relates
yeah.
to the
I see that,
local law B zoning district map?
yeah, I see Jackie may have them swapped.
Right, there's a number of, we have two different items tonight, so I think you should
Take the
have
back of one big packet.
probably two of them, and the one that you want to have in front of you now is adoption of local law B proposed.
Yeah, and of course I
Okay.
don't have that one.
This one says H.
She's made double copies.
You have copies of that one? Here.
Yeah,
You want to refer to this one?
is that the planning board one?
This is the correct one,
Yeah,
okay. Just make sure you have that one in front of you,
okay.
okay. I
Am I
know
the
that
only
you
one
received
with-
it by email today, but,
Yeah, I don't know
just
why
so that you have that one in front of you. Yeah, they are
she printed it twice.
very
Okay.
similar, so just make sure you have it right one.
Okay, well, looking over this form, and I'll pass it on down to you. All items seem to be consistent. Tim, if you want to take a look at that, we can also make
And
copies.
the other thing is you have in, I think you have in your packet with that, the one that the planning board approved, which the
Yes.
text is gonna be the same,
The
so
text
if
is
the board
the
members
same.
wanna follow along,
Okay,
that one, might be helpful in terms of just following
Okay.
along.
good. So why don't we do that? Harry, I'll refer you to the planning board's LWRP form, which is consistent with ours.
You mean in this stack I have here?
Yeah. It's the one signed by Christine Kane. And you'll see that all the items are consistent or not applicable.
It's attached to the, in the packet, it's attached to the consent to leave agency, and underneath of that, you'll see the planning board's adoption of local law B, LWRP recommendation. You see that?
So we'll see if we've got the correct digital one up there. Well, here's what the
That one,
form
yeah,
says,
that one.
okay?
There you go.
Development policies. And it says that the action is consistent or not applicable. Some of these relate to activities that will affect what's going on in the water, and obviously that's not the case here. We're looking at expanding a zone that is quite a bit off the water.
This one you just showed us, how is this different from the one that I have in my packet? It looks the same.
It's just unfortunately,
B,
Yeah.
oh, you have
I
B.
I have, yeah.
well, I just
Well, that's the
handed you a
planning
B.
board one.
I just
Oh.
handed you a B, I think, from,
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
two of the same here.
okay.
So
Well,
I
unfortunately,
was looking
Jack,
at the right one then.
yeah,
Okay.
that's all right. All right, well, so we have that, the LWRP. If there's no questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consistency determination that's prepared for us.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've got our part 2 and 3 of the EAF. Does everybody have that?
yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere here.
All right, we gotta get past that. All right, so in the EAF, we study the impact on land. We study the impact on geological features. We study the impacts on surface water. the impact on groundwater, flooding, air, plants and animal, agricultural resources, aesthetic resources, historic and archaeological resources, open space and recreation, impact on critical environmental areas, transportation, energy, noise, odor, and light, impact on human health, and consistency with community plans. And the last thing, but certainly not the least important, consistency with community character.
In Michelle's draft, part 3/neg deck language goes through all of the items that are identified as potentially small to moderate impact. There are no items that are identified as moderate to large.
Okay,
And she calls out and explains each of those potential impacts, and as you can see, indicates that they are not expected to be significant. And one of the things that is noted is that there was an archaeological review completed with respect to the Behringer House expansion that's proposed. So that is part of the foundation documents that you have for your decision. Okay. She also, I would say, she also notes that your zoning code requires a certificate of appropriateness, thank you, for particular project activity. So while we have a zoning amendment here to allow for a different zoning type, we will still be subject to those requirements in the historic overlay.
that's right.
Okay.
That requirement exists, I know,
Right,
now for all of the buildings that Barton has.
right.
Okay, so having reviewed parts 2 and 3, and we have a sample neg deck.
So then you have a resolution. You can
And a
use it.
resolution, yep, adopting determination of non-significance. So I wondered, Bill, could I ask you to read that, if you wouldn't mind? Or at least summarize it? There you go.
This is for a negative declaration, right?
Yep,
And so the town board, having spent much time listening to everybody about the subject matter, and after the public hearing tonight, has reviewed a draft negative declaration setting forth reasons supporting the determination that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. And whereas at its meeting held February 13th, the planning board determined that the local law is consistent with the town's local waterfront revitalization program, and the town board has determined the proposed local law is consistent with our town's local waterfront revitalization program. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Red Hook hereby adopts a negative declaration and determines that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. And hereby authorizes and directs the town clerk to distribute a copy of this resolution to all involved and interested agencies, the town supervisor, and any person that has requested a copy, and to make all other filings required by law. And I so move.
Second.
thank you very much, Harry. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And that was resolution number
11.
11, okay. And now we have resolution number 12. Thank you, sir. Number 12, dated February 14th, which is authorizing the adoption by the town board of the town of Red Hook of local law B proposed of 2017 as local law number 2 of 2017. And essentially, it states, whereas a proposed form of local law B proposed of 2017 entitled a local law to amend section 143-7 entitled zoning district map to amend the zoning district map to rezone a portion of a parcel from TNDR to TNDCC and to rezone certain parcels from R1.5 to I was presented to the town board of the town of Red Hook at a regular meeting held on January 25th. And whereas the proposed amendments are consistent with the recommendations of the town comprehensive plan, whereas a resolution was adopted by the town board setting a public hearing for this evening at 7:35, whereas we classified the action as type 1 under seeker, it's been duly advertised, the public hearing, in our newspapers. And the public hearing was held this evening, February 14th. A copy was referred to the town planning board, which responded, recommending approval. And the planning board has determined that the local law is consistent with the LWRP. Whereas notice has been sent to all of the owners of property directly affected by the zoning district map amendment, and to those owners that lie within 200 feet of the lands that are affected. We have adopted a negative declaration, and we have considered all the comments with respect to the proposed local law. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Red Hook as follows. The town board hereby adopts said local law be proposed, or local law 2 of 2017, entitled a local law to amend section 143-7 entitled zoning district map. And I so move. Is there a second? Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right. We are on to agenda item number 2. And that is another local law, and that is incentive zoning. We've been talking about this for months, and we attempted to finish our secret work last month, but we didn't have the documents in our folder. So we do this evening, hopefully. Let's review. We have our LWRP, Coastal Assessment Form, and parts 2 and 3, along with a secret determination resolution. We had previously reviewed the LWRP remarks from the planning board. And I believe we did the coastal assessment form as well. We did that at the last meeting. Where we got hung up was, in fact, we did our own LWRP, if I remember correctly, on the 25th. We stopped short of part 2 and part 3 because we didn't have them in our folders. We do this evening. So again, reviewing part 2. There seems to be no impacts listed for any of the topics that we have listed previously, with the exception of historic and archaeological resources. And here it says, none or small impact may occur. That's on page 6. Now part 2. And if you look at part 3, the evaluation, which is the summary of the part 2, it will apply to lands that are located within the National Historic Landmark District and other properties that are individually listed. So it speaks to that district which has agricultural business parcels in it. And they would be subject to the incentive zoning change. No development is proposed as part of this action, however. So therefore, it is thought to be a type 1. And again, having potentially a determination of non-significance, a neg deck. Do we support that?
So if I could ask you to consider in order, because I don't know that the board adopted the LWRP findings last time, did they? Did they adopt
I-
the
I
motion?
don't have my.
I
I don't
think-
recall that you actually got to adopting everything.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and do that again this
Do
evening.
that
I thought we did while you were at the copy
think we
machine
cons-
trying to rescue
I
us.
see,
I think we did, but let's go ahead and
Okay.
just do it again.
okay, might be the case.
Yes, so on our LWRP, you see the form there, everything is listed as either consistent, or in this case, not applicable for just about everything, except for development policy number 5 on page 2. And on page 5, 26A, conserve and protect agricultural lands, consistent, so.
Right, I'm sure you
It's-
reviewed it, so just
Yeah.
looking for you to make
So,
sure the action
who would
is
like to make a
recorded.
motion to approve the consistency determination?
So move.
Okay,
Second?
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so I did quickly go through part 2 for everyone, just to review. Again, very little indication there. Would somebody like to add any comments, 2 and 3? Are we good with the determination of type 1 action on this? Incentive zoning? All right, we have a resolution adopting a secret determination of non-significance for local law
13.
proposed H. So now it would be local law 3, I believe, of 2017.
Mhm.
Update that.
Well, it'll
And,
be H in everything until we actually
Until-
get
right.
to adoption,
well, that is true.
right.
Proposed H of 2016,
Resolution.
all right.
And this is,
Resolution number 13. Harry, would you like to just summarize this resolution?
wait a minute. Which one?
All right, I'll hand you mine,
This one?
that one. My chicken scratch on it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Adopting seeker says?
Yeah.
Local law H.
A resolution adopting a secret determination of non-significance for local law number H proposed of 2016 regarding open space incentive zoning. Whereas the town board is considering adoption of local law H as revised entitled the local law amending section 143-49.2 entitled Open Space Incentive Zoning of the Code of Town of Red Hook. Whereas on July 27th of 16, the town board classified the proposed action as a type 1 action under SECRA and declares its intent to serve as lead agency in the review of a project and is the only involved agency. See where I need to go here.
Okay,
Huh?
We know all the whereases.
Alright, whereas the local law will be applied applicable throughout the town, and whereas the town board has prepared a full environmental assessment form, EAF, for the proposed action, and whereas the town board has considered the criteria consistent in 6 NYCRR 617.7 and thoroughly analyzed all identified relevant areas of environmental concern disclosed in the EAF, and whereas the town board has reviewed a draft negative declaration setting forth reasons supporting a determination that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and whereas at its meeting held on September 7th of 2016, the planning board determined that the proposed local law is consistent with the town's local waterfront revitalization program, and whereas the town board has determined that the proposed local law is consistent with the town's local waterfront revitalization program, and now therefore it be resolved that the town board of the town of Red Hook, Dutchess County, New York, by the favorable the vote of not less than a majority of all the members of the board as follows. The town board hereby adopts a negative declaration and determines that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and the draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. The town board hereby authorizes and directs the town clerk to distribute a copy of this resolution to all involved and interested agencies. The town supervisor and any person has requested a copy to make all of the filings required by law, and I so move.
Thank you, Harry.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Okay, and the last bit of work is to entertain a resolution to adopt the law. This would be resolution number 14 on the 14th of February. And it now can be called Local Law H proposed of 2016 as Local Law number 3 of 2017. Who would like to read this resolution? Who would like to move this resolution? I am going to be voting against this resolution, so I would rather somebody else do it.
I'll move it if you'd like, Robert. I'll just give you the short version of all the whereases. Many of them are similar to what Terry just read, if that's okay.
Yes. Please do.
I just read the first. Whereas the proposed form of local law entitled a local zoning law amending section 143-49.2 entitled Open Space Incentive Zoning of the Code of the Town of Red Hook. The proposed local law was presented to the town board at a regular meeting held on July 27th, 2016. And what it was about was that whereas the proposed local law provided procedure for the payment of the incentive zoning fee installments, and whereas the resolution was adopted, the town board set up a public hearing which was held on September 7th, 2016. And whereas on July 27th, the proposed action was determined to be type 1 under seeker, and public notice was made in the Freeman and the Poughkeepsie Journal. And whereas the public hearing was duly held on September 7th, whereas pursuant to section 239M of the General Municipal Law, a copy of the proposed local law was referred to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, which responded on August 16th, and that was a matter of local concern. And that whereas the proposed local law was referred to the Planning Board, which responded on August 1st of 2016. And as previous before, whereas September 7th, the public hearing was held, and whereas determined the proposed local law is consistent with the town's local waterfront revitalization plan, and whereas on February 14th, 2017, the town board adopted a negative declaration determining that the proposed adoption of local law will have no significant adverse effects on the environment. And whereas the town board has considered all comments received with respect to the proposed local law, and whereas the town board of the town of Red Hook, after due deliberation, finds it in the best interest of the town to adopt said local law in the form attached hereto. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Red Hook as follows. The town board hereby adopts said local law H proposed of 2016 entitled a local law amending section 143-49.2 entitled Open Space Incentive Zoning of the Code of the Town of Red Hook as local law number 3. I don't know how we get a 3 from H, but anyway. A, B, C, D,
Because it
E, F, G,
started last year.
It's carrying over.
of 2017 in the form on file with the town clerk. And the town clerk hereby is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the town code of the town of Red Hook to give due notice of the adoption and said local law to the Secretary of State of New York and to take all other actions as may be required by law. I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Harry. For further discussion, I'm going to be voting against this resolution. We took months to consider. At the same time, we were going to accommodate developers and allow them to pay over a period of time. We took a look at whether or not we would actually require them to make payments of money, or whether they could take an alternate method, which is to protect some land. By allowing them an out to go the other route, we are not able to leverage our funds as we have historically. So for example, the project in front of us is the Hoffman project, where about $660,000 over a period of time will be paid to us for additional density. If they were to choose to go another route and protect some lands, we would not be able to leverage those monies. Historically, if we take $660,000 worth of money for open space and agricultural protection, we could expect to maybe get $3 million worth of protection done for that kind of local contribution. So I'm going to be voting against this because I think, and I'd like to add also, we have recreation fees and developers have an out that way as well. They can go ahead and they can give us a small trail, or they can give us a field and not be required to pay those fees. So I had hoped that we would at least require the money to be paid. It seems as if that was sort of not the thinking of some of the board members, but I did want to at least register that as my opinion, and I'm going to be voting against this resolution. All right. Are we all set to vote?
Yes.
Okay, any other
Somebody
further
move?
comments?
Nobody moved yet, did they?
No, Jim moved and you
Yes.
seconded.
I did?
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Could I ask the board to just, because this is
Roll
a
call.
resolution, you need
Yes.
to do a roll call, please.
Yes, the roll call is Harry,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
myself, nay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. The third item on the agenda, we'll get that agenda back up there. Very quickly is, we're back to the barges, the anchorages and the barges. So I attended, as well as folks from Tivoli and Rhinebeck, an update meeting over in Kingston. There was one February 2nd. There was another meeting in Beacon that other municipal officials attended as well. And it was hosted by a group called the Hudson River Waterfront Alliance. And essentially it's communities all in Westchester County who have organized to fight this proposal that we are very concerned about. And they would like other counties and municipalities in these other counties to join with them to have a coordinated effort in staying up to the minute in all the information that is relevant to this proposal. And they have a pledge that they would like us to take, essentially join with them. They have, just so you know, it's led by the city of Yonkers, which has a very attractive riverfront development down there on the waterfront. And they've been kind enough to foot the bill for all the legal investigation, you know, what transpires in this type of situation. And I don't know if they'll be able to do that forever, but they really educated us on a lot of the technicalities that need to go forward. I mean,
What do they want from the town of Red Hook?
well, I think they would like us to join with them in this alliance. They're reaching out to all the counties on the riverfront and all the municipalities within those counties. So it would behoove us, I think, to accept their invitation. I know that Rhinebeck and Tivoli will be doing that as well, or at least considering that as well. So I've also included in your packets, some of, only a couple of the handouts that I received at that meeting. I think you'll find some of it interesting. One is from the Department of State. And then there's something from our Attorney General as well. So I wonder if you have some thoughts about this, if this is something you'd like to do this evening or consider more.
What all we really want to do, I guess, what they want us to do is to lend our support, right?
That's it.
You know,
I mean, right now, there's no other commitment except joining them. I mean, they're potentially down the road, I mean, there might be some additional fees that the group might have to expend, but I think at that point, there'll be hundreds of communities involved with this. They've already have 20 some odd from Westchester County alone. So right now, there's no cost associated with it, and we'll take that up if there ever is at a future date.
well, I certainly would be willing to support, going in support of this group who is opposing these anchorages. I think they would be, it would be a major step backward in the vitality of our natural resources here.
Okay. Jim, sound good to you?
Well, yes, Robert, because it can promote more dialogue, you know, rather than have something just shoved down all the community's throats along the river. There may very well be a need for it, but I think there should be more dialogue, and the community should be made more aware of exactly what they're talking about and planning to do.
Okay. What do you think, Bill? Are we ready
I
to join?
agree pretty much with what Jim says.
Okay.
I'm for it, but again, I think we need to set the table a little bit more for the public, you know, as to what areas of the Hudson, you know, adjoining our borders might be impacted, that sort of thing.
Well,
Okay.
it's supposed to be, I've read some of it, the first anchorage, the northernmost anchorage is just off Kingston, and the southernmost is off just above the GW Bridge.
Yep, there's the area called the Kingston Flats, which is the area that is closest to us. The map is up there. I had a better map for you at our last meeting, or last couple of meetings. This one is not so great, especially in black and white.
But there's like 6 anchorages
And this is,
about every 10 miles or so.
yeah, so altogether, 10 different anchorage points, 43 barges, and it's really amazing how many gallons are in each one of these barges. So it really could be warehousing along the river as they wait for favorable pricing to move it into the ports.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that's what it's about, or is it to protect us should there be some violent storm where they'd have a safe anchorage and protect us in that manner? Or is it gonna be a warehousing thing? And that's what we have to have more dialogue about.
Yeah, they already
From what I
have,
read, it was warehousing.
yeah, they already have Hyde Park right now,
I mean, that's
which
a
is
bit of a describe.
a place that they can anchor. They have 2 actually, Hyde Park and one further south. And the traffic on the river has actually been quite low with the tankers. Why they think that there is this desire is because the ban on exporting crude oil overseas has been lifted recently. And so actually this crude is going to come from the Dakotas and pass through us and not even stay within the United States. It's going to go elsewhere. So it's really sort of insult to injury what its purposes are.
If I've heard correctly, there's one tanker that you do see on the river that is a powered boat that takes the Bakken crude picks it up in Albany and takes it to the southernmost part of Canada, off the what is it? Trying to think of the name of the city there
In Canada,
in Canada.
actually, Harry, most of it is going to go to Philadelphia, where it's then going to be exported overseas.
I think there's one ship that goes over to Canada
Okay.
regularly.
Okay.
Goes around New England and up the coast.
Okay. Well, this is the pledge. seems to me innocuous enough, but that we would like to join forces because then we can stay up to date on what's happening. They're leading the legal charge here, along with a lot of the environmental groups who are part of this. And it just commits us to collaborative examination of the local and regional impacts of the proposed Anchorage sites. Like I learned something recently about the fact that the Hyde Park site is actually not a good site because that's where the sturgeon are nesting and breeding. And so, these tankers are actually scraping up the bottom of the river, the same river that we've been working on trying to get the PCBs out of.
Is there an urgency that we do this tonight, or could we wait till the next meeting and read this?
Whatever you feel comfortable with, Harry, we could do it at the next meeting. I think this is just sort of joining a group, but if you'd like to wait and study it some more, that's fine.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly, I know what I'm gonna do already.
Okay.
And that isn't the question. I
Okay.
guess it gives us an opportunity to have some local people who may see this and wanna come in and make their own public comment
Okay.
at another meeting.
Okay. So, what's our pleasure here, folks? What would we like to do? Want to wait till next meeting? Want to do it tonight? Jim?
I'm comfortable either way unless you want to wait till we have our full board, but I know this is not the first time we've spoken about this.
Right.
We've already written a letter, right?
We wrote a letter, our comments are uploaded. This
Yeah.
is really about joining the group so we can stay
Yeah,
informed.
well, we should wait.
You want to
Let
wait?
Sarah join in,
Okay.
and we'll get a chance to read it, like Harry
Yeah,
says.
I'm comfortable either way. My only
Yeah.
comment would be to make sure we don't have, by agreeing, we don't have a financial commitment
No.
at this juncture.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not sure we ever will.
And it would be, and I mean, I'd like to hear from some of the local public, either out on the sidewalk or folks, and come to our next meeting and we'll talk about it then and listen to the comments of some of the local people.
Okay, all right, we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting. Okay, very quick discussion, item number 4. As you know, although I don't know how effectively I'm doing it this evening, but we have the technology now to show folks what's going on in their government. And one of the main reasons that we wanted to have this smart TV up there is we wanted to make sure that if there were projects in front of our planning board and zoning board, that folks could actually see the projects and understand what the boards were talking about. So we've discussed earlier about trying to have digital requirements in those applications so that the public can see what's going on. And so all I'm doing tonight is asking you if you'd be kind enough to permit me to work with the boards and our attorneys and our planners to come up with some recommendations for you on the specific requirements. Essentially what we'd like to do is make sure that we have an application that can be projected up on the screen for the public. And at the same time, it turns out the boards actually have had things that they've wanted to do digitally with applications. I think Ann Rubin was doing cartwheels when she heard about it because she'd like to use Dropbox for the ZBA members so that they can get updated as things come in and be able to review these things. I don't think we want to rid ourselves of hard copies. Obviously, we'll need those as well, but we might actually be less reliant on the number of copies, might just only have a few. And that's it, is
Are
really.
you talking about presenting it at a board, at a Reddick County board meeting? Or at a, for example, a planning board meeting?
No, this is going to be available at all the board meetings so that the public can see applications. Like if somebody comes in with a development plan, as you know, now they sit in the audience and they struggle to try to understand what everybody's
So, but
talking
Panda
about.
covers our planning board meetings?
Panda does not currently cover our planning board meetings
So
unless
how
we
does that work?
request it. But if the public comes and sits in our
Oh, in other words, if they can
They'll
see
be
it,
able to
then-
actually see the same thing that the boards are talking about.
Okay.
And so what I'd like to do is just get your authorization to work with the attorneys and the planner and the two boards and come up with some proposal for you in a couple meetings for you to take a look at to see if it makes sense.
I have no problem with that, Ken, Robert, but I don't, I don't wanna make something that too onerous requirement for our applicants. They already have to go through quite a lot when they, and at the expense when they present something to our zoning board or our planning board. And a lot of them, if it's a simple thing, they might not be able to present it digitally or something. Now, if they had a sheet like this that we could scan it and
That's
provide it
exactly what we'll
digitally or
do.
something like that,
That's
yes.
exactly what we can do, is if it's a simple 8 by 11, 8.5 by 11, we can put it in our scanner, or they could present it and we could have it projected up on the screen. So I share your desire to make things go faster and to make it more affordable for folks.
So we can use the application that come from these people.
Right, and I think we could actually save them money because they won't be required to have so many expensive copies of those big plans. We can figure out, working with the boards, the number of copies that they would like to have now that there's a digital version of it,
Mhm.
right? Okay. So moving, and I assume that's okay with you, is that all right? We can start work on that and have something presented to you in a couple of meetings?
So you're just asking to make it a work in progress.
That's it.
That's
it.
That makes sense.
To get started on it. We've already started talking and trying to, get ideas. So, all right, our next item on the agenda is reorg. And so we have a lot of correspondence from some committee members. There are a couple of committees or boards we're gonna pass on tonight because we haven't gotten all the information or got conflicting information, but I'd like to start out with, if I could, the Agriculture and Open Space Advisory Committee. So, I spoke to Norm Gregg earlier this week about the possibility of having a chair for that committee who had a little bit more time to commit, and he seemed quite relieved to not be one of the co-chairs. And so he is going to take up with the members of that committee the discussion, find out who might be interested in chairing the committee going forward. But we do know that these individuals, Michael Robertson, Hannah Beal, Talea, Peter Hubble, have all asked to stay on the committee.
This is the Ag Committee.
Yes.
Does Peter Hubble still want to co-chair with someone else?
I haven't, they're gonna discuss it at their next
Oh,
meeting.
well, that's-
Yeah, and so we'll get a recommendation back from them on chair. So what I'd like to do perhaps with your approval is entertain a motion to approve those 4 members for 2-year terms ending in 2018.
So move.
Okay, we had a tie there. We'll choose somebody as a second.
One of those-
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, Assessment Review Board, I have somebody who is looking at that position that requires training. Hopefully I'll have something back for you. If you know of somebody else who also will be interested, please let me know. CPF PDR Advisory Committee, 2 things to report there. Brent Kowalczyk has asked to be reappointed if we so desire. There are specific requirements in this committee because it involves making recommendations for those CPF funds. And so we want to take a look at those requirements when we replace somebody. And we do have somebody to replace, and that's Susan Israti. I spoke to her today, and she feels that she is juggling too many things at this time. And so she would like to step down from the CPF committee. So clearly, she will not be the chair, but there was already a succession plan in place for Mary Ann Johnson to become the chair of that committee. So what we have tonight is, and we haven't heard back from Rich Brzezinski. I suspect he'd probably desire to stay on, but I would hate to speak for him. So what we could do this evening is have a motion to approve Brent Kowalczyk for a 3-year term ending in 2019. Thank you, Jim. Harry, would you like to second Jim's motion?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. All right, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve Marion Johnson as the chair of the CPF PDR Advisory Committee.
Second.
Thank you, Harry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay, so Communications Committee, we have some members already. Conservation Advisory Council. So we've heard back, Laura Eusted would like to remain as chair. Susan Ellis, Julia Solomon, and Michael Colisio responded back. You have that correspondence hopefully in your folder. And all 4 of them would like to remain.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? These are
Aye.
2-year appointments, except
Aye.
for the
Aye.
chair.
And also
Aye,
move to name Lori as chair.
thank you very much. So the chair concludes 2017. The other terms conclude 2018. Design Review Hamlet Committee.
Wait a second, do we have a second on
Oh.
Lori Husted for being chair?
I'm sorry. Yes, all in favor? Aye.
And I'm sorry, did you say Ross Gould also?
No, Ross Gould is
That's a
no
question.
longer on the
Oh,
CAC.
okay.
He dropped out. For some
Okay.
reason, it's still on our list, so
I thought he was in that letter they sent. No?
not to my knowledge. No. He's not
So we
in it.
still have a vacancy there.
So Julia Solomon and Michael Kalea.
Right, so we still
And
have
Susan
1
Ellis.
vacancy on the
And Lori.
CAC. And we'll get to these committees for Steve, who's patiently waiting for me to get caught up. Oh, my scratch is on there. I don't think we'll be doing that. Okay, Design Review Hamlet, we have 2 vacancies there. The passing of Michael Brown and Hop Michael is no longer on the Design Review Committee. You see, there we go, we're up on the big screen for you. I discussed with Emily Major the possibility of joining as a full-fledged member. Emily is our deputy town historian. She's interested. I haven't heard back from Chris Gilbert, so I'd like to wait on that, if we could, until our next meeting. Disaster Preparedness Committee, we have 1 letter of interest who they are recommending to join. That's about,
We must have done design review already, because Chris says 2017 is chair, so that must have been
right,
accomplished.
yeah, no, that's,
Oh, I thought you said you were gonna wait on that.
well, we're gonna wait on, wait to hear from Chris Gilbert about making Emily a full-fledged member. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so on disaster preparedness, there is Dick Franklin and Vin Coluccio have offered to temporarily co-chair that committee. We thought Sean McLaughlin was going to be the chair, but I think he's run into some scheduling problems. And they have suggested Joseph Stevens, who is affiliated with HealthQuest. And here is his background: security manager at NDH. He also took on the role of emergency management coordinator there in 2014. Seems like a good match for our disaster preparedness committee. And we have a vacancy. Any thoughts? Does it seem like a good fit? This is who they're recommending as a new member.
Come on, Stevens, Joseph Stevens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a community member?
Joseph Stevens?
Joseph Stevens.
At-large community member
At-large
number
community
3.
member number 3 is where we know we have a vacancy.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
right, very good. This is a 2-year appointment, ending in 2018. All in favor?
Aye.
And then, if we could, Chair, could we put both Vin and Dick Franklin? I've spoken to both of them. They're going to co-chair with your approval.
But
least
Vin's
temp-
not
Can I
a member of the
At
committee.
least
Can
temporarily.
I go back a minute here?
Yes, you may.
Am I reading this right? That Stevens lives in Poughkeepsie?
That could be
On the front of this page, am I,
Mhm.
the case.
and he's, it looks like he's headed security, my words, at Northern Dutchess.
Yes, yeah, I mentioned that, Harry, and he was also the emergency management coordinator there.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough.
That might be good background for us.
I'm not, I just, we want to do it with our eyes wide
Vin's not a
open.
member of the committee.
Yeah.
Vin's not a member of the committee, right?
Well,
He's saying he can do it, is what it boils down to.
all right, let's tackle the chairs at the next meeting, shall we? Because we'll get some of the input on who's dropped out, who's still in,
What,
because
you
they
said-
have to change the fire company reps.
But you
Wow.
said Vince Colicchio would like to be a member and would be co-chair? or-
He's willing to co-chair with Dick temporarily.
So should we?
Well, we have to approve him to one of these spots, and
Right.
until we hear from more of that committee, I don't know why we've had very little response from them, but until we hear from more, we won't know which slot to put him in. So perhaps we wait another, but I would like to appoint Stevens. Did we decide we could do that?
Harry just pointed that
Well, we
out.
did that, but Harry pointed out where his address might be.
Okay.
Then in order to point him to make it right, we probably would have to make an exception, because, we
Yeah.
have that rule about the being town residents,
Yeah.
unless they're appointed as an advisory capacity.
We've appointed people whose business was in the town, but his business is actually in Rhinebeck now.
Well, why don't we want to create a position called NDH advisor
Sure.
and see if we can appoint him to that. We'll go ahead and appoint him. If he's not happy with that, then obviously we'll take him.
That would make a lot of sense, actually.
Right.
Sure.
I think it's good to have a relationship with the hospital, disaster preparedness.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay, why don't we do that, a 2-year appointment, ending in 2018 for Joseph Stevens. And so we are amending the motion as the NDH advisor. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye,
And
okay.
what's the initials you use?
Adrian.
NDH, Northern Dutchess Hospital.
Oh. But he's an advisor to the Disaster Preparedness Committee.
That's
Yeah.
correct. That's correct. EDC, I think we're gonna have to wait on EDC because we've had new people who wanna join and we haven't heard back from others.
I'll meet with him on Wednesday.
Right.
and sort that out.
I mean, I would like to entertain, that we have some new members join the EDC.
Well, we have some, like, what's her name, Ducharme, the architect, would like to be on,
Yeah,
and she certainly brings, and she's very active in the community as an architect,
yeah, I think that'd be great. I'd like to add her.
Mhm.
I just don't know which spot to give her, and I know that I spoke to Chris Close, and he thought perhaps that the committee would want to expand. There are 9 now.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm in favor of, as many members as possible,
Mhm.
so that we can get some real
Make
recommendations
some
on.
things happen.
Right. Not just reactive, but
No,
some recommendations. Okay. So shall we look at this again next meeting?
yeah, no, I'll have details on that next meeting.
Okay. All right, ethics, so we heard back from Fred Cartier. He would very much like to continue on as chair. And we heard back from Sal Guido, and he would very much like to remain on the ethics board. Are we comfortable with those two actions?
Sure.
Yes, so move.
Okay. So that was a joint motion, and Harry, did you second that?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, Greenway and Trails Committee?
So Sal Guido's term, just to be clear, would be 2021, correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Jim, for...
And Cartier's would be what, 2024?
No, actually Cartier is just a 2017. That's just the chair
Chair.
position. He, as a member, is up in 2019. Greenway and Trails. Now, I have Cat
They're
Viega. I
all-
thought we
they're all,
appointed Cat.
They're
We
all
did.
updated.
We did, okay, we're all updated, we're complete. I got complete for here, okay. And then we have, all right, intermunicipal task force. I'd like us to look at the membership because there's supposed to be an indicated membership for that task force. Bill, can you come back to us next meeting and go over what's supposed to be in that group?
And what, the intermunicipal task force?
Yeah, because
Well,
we're
the-
supposed to have.
We can do it right now, right? I mean, everybody wants to stay on there. Typically, we have to ask somebody to replace Tim Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
But Dominic Tambone has written a letter and wants to be a member of the committee.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought because the supervisor is an automatic member of the committee, that we could have Tambone as the resident, and then you would still be on the committee as the supervisor. Or whatever committee, whatever we talk about it, task force.
Okay. Well, I don't think I would be a technically, well, we could figure that out. All right,
But I mean, you're more than a resident, so,
right.
in your capacity.
Well, we have Tivoli resident Harry Coleman also.
Yeah, any committee, a board member should be more like an advisory capacity or,
Right.
rather than a resident
Yeah.
member, really, yeah.
All right, well, can we deal with this at the next meeting, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Planning board, all we have to do on planning board, or we completed planning board, we're all set with planning board, okay.
How about this intermunicipal shared services, is that?
We don't know if
Still
that's still
approved, or-
going, we're
Okay.
waiting on
We're
the
waiting.
grant, we're waiting
Okay.
on the village to figure out if that's going forward or
Okay.
not. St. Margaret's, so Harry, I don't wanna nag you, but we have this letter of
Well, I've
interest.
thought about it, and it
All
keeps me awake at night.
Okay, well, next meeting. Next meeting, and I will remind you again, Robert George is asking for some feedback on that proposal he put in front of us, so, we
Yeah,
could,
we
if we
should
could get,
Ask him to be on a committee and then he can, in detail, read
okay,
what is required on our deed, whatever.
okay. Well, he certainly has looked at some of the legal aspects, I think we just need to figure out what the options are for the town, and, which direction we would like to go in, and obviously we need to have, a whole group of people taking a look
But
at.
at any rate, we gotta recreate it or something.
We do. Harry took on that responsibility, I'm not giving you a dirty look, Harry.
Oh, yeah?
I'm
That's
not.
what it looks like to me.
Okay, let's go to senior services, it's Valentine's, so we gotta be easy on each other to get out of here. Senior services, we heard back from, everybody, in fact, Rose Ryder just emailed me, a little while ago. And so we've heard back from Andrew, who would like to be chair, and would like to be reappointed, Rose Ryder, Don Peterson, and Dick Franklin, they all would like to remain, terms ending in 2018.
So move.
Nancy Finkel also?
And I apologize, I have not heard back from Nancy, so I will give her a call tomorrow. And I hope she will stay on, but for tonight, we can do Andrew, his chair position, Rose Ryder, Don Peterson, and Dick Franklin.
You could do Nancy, and if she tells you she doesn't like to, then we could just,
We could always drop her off.
yeah.
I know, I just wonder how that appears. I was appointed to the intermunicipal task force. without knowing I was appointed years ago. Remember that, Harry?
Well, maybe, maybe not, depends.
So, people might have a good feeling. I think it's best to check. Maybe we should check.
All right.
She's a holdover anyway. All right. So, Bill's original motion to approve those 4 individuals. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Harry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank
Aye.
you so much. All right, we're making good progress. Tree preservation is what I have next. All right, tree preservation. We have, yes, Kathy Michael would like to remain as the chair. They are actively looking for another member. Karen, Doug, George, Kathy, all would like to remain. If you are interested in trees, please let us know. Send an email to Sue McCann and/or myself, but definitely her, letting us know that you're interested in joining this committee or any other committee. So I'd like to move that we reappoint those individuals, making Kathy Michael the chair for the remainder of 2017.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have just one vacancy there. Let's see, Water Board. Okay, we have Hank Van Paris, Jerry Gilnack, Nick Annis, Dick Franklin, and Hank as the chair. I think the Water Board's done a very good job for us,
They all want to stay on, right?
and they all want to stay on.
So move.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, now ZBA, I would like to wait till next meeting on ZBA because we have a person who's interested in joining, Kate Karakis. We had a letter from her last year. She'd like to be considered again this year. Nick Annis reached out to me and said, what about going to 5 again? He brought that up last year, bringing it up again this year. So, would you all give some thought? We have Chris Carney, who's currently serving in this spot, is up for renewal. Kate, who would like to join. Kate has a legal background, would probably be a good addition. And I would like for Sarah to be present, or all of us to be present, when we vote on whether to go from 7 to 5 and who to appoint. Is that agreeable to you all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just wait till next week.
So till next week, which will hopefully be 2 weeks
Or next
from now.
month.
Yeah. ZRC, we've only heard back from Steve Cole. And it helps that he works in the building to hear back from him. So I reached out to Susan Simon earlier today and asked her to please follow up with us. So we should get some word hopefully soon. So I would entertain a motion to reappoint Steve Cole to the Zoning Review Committee with a period ending 2018. And we have a vacancy in the Tivoli liaison as well. Would somebody like to second my motion to reappoint? Oh, and I apologize, Chris Close as well. We have his email here as well. So Chris Close and Steve Cole reappoint to the end of 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I think we got through and we did quite a bit on reorg, and hopefully we can finish up the rest of our next meeting. Everybody who's on a committee or a board is a holdover until such time. Number 6. We have a resolution. There is a development that has conditional approval called the Preserve at Lakes Kill.
Where's the preserve at Lakesville?
That is on Fellingham Road is the entrance to
That's the
That's the one up by,
Pelinumar.
the cul-de-sac, 11 lots.
how did they get it? It says the subdivision was already approved?
The planning board approved it subject to conditions. And so as part of the process, they have to go through the county to get approval for road names, should they meet all those conditions and have the development go forward. And so we have a resolution that really just addresses one thing, which is to say that we don't have a problem if you do develop and you meet the conditions of that development with the two names that you have proposed for roads. This resolution acknowledges that they must meet both the planning board's requirements and the requirements of our highway specifications before road can be constructed. So it's a resolution, number 15, dated February 14th, accepting street names for the Preserve at Lakes Kill subdivision. And I can pop that up, I believe, or maybe not, Steve. So it's, whereas Hudson Land Design on behalf of the Preserve at Lakeskill LLC contacted Dutchess County Real Property Tax Service Agency to review proposed private drive names for certain private roads on the approved subdivision map for the Preserve at Lakeskill subdivision, parcels number, and it goes on to read those parcels. And whereas Real Property has forwarded its letter indicating there are no conflicts with the proposed names, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Red Hook as follows: hereby accepts the private street names of Lakeskill Run and Preserve Path for the Preserve at Lakeskill subdivision, subject to further provisions of the applicable subdivision plat and site plan, and subject to compliance with the highway specifications and other requirements of law. Appropriate signage shall be posted with the names of the private roads, and such signage shall be the responsibility of the owner. The town clerk shall send notification of this resolution to the town of Red Hook Planning Board and the owner. That is the resolution in front of us.
Now, appropriate signage, that means they have to follow the rules of our highway department signs, correct?
Magda and, right, you have highway specifications that
Yeah.
specifically require certain signage requirements, yes.
Okay. Would somebody like to move resolution number 15?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, I find it very objectionable. Number one, it's not an approved subdivision if there are conditions that have to be met. The town of Red Hook has heard from a number of community meetings and persons in the community that have very strong feelings about that subdivision, and I find it just premature for the county to just flippantly say, well, look at, the names don't appear on any other record, so procedurally, you can approve the name of some private road that hasn't even been, in my opinion, approved by the planning board. Or, it's not a fait accompli. So I could never vote for something like this.
Okay, did you want to comment on that, Craig?
No, just to clarify that what the planning board has done is approved, they've taken their final action, final approval with conditions, which means they're setting up conditions that then need to be met as a matter of ticking off a list, essentially. They have made their findings about the project, they've completed their secret review and made their findings. And so these items, this is one of the items that's included in their list of conditions, that the names of the, pursuant to the requirements of your subdivision law and your highway specifications, the name go through certain procedures, which include checking with the county to make sure it's not a conflict with other road names, and then checking with the town board just as a procedural check to make sure that the town doesn't have an objection to that name.
Yeah, but I mean, if you ask the town board to make a resolution, you're kind of assuming certain facts as a basis for this resolution. And to me, unless and until that subdivision is actually approved because they've met their conditions, it's not a fact. I mean, we could write a letter and say, if they ever get their final approval, we would have no objection if the county says there's no, something like that. But to put it in the form of a resolution gives it a quasi-official legal statement, which I really find objectionable by this town in that circumstance.
Well, that's sort of a catch-22 then, you know, unless we put in our resolution that we approve these road names, provided they meet all the other
No, but
requirements for their final
there are other
approval.
conditions they gotta meet beyond a couple of names on a private road. I mean, my understanding, I haven't reviewed it in recent months, but I thought that there were some substantial conditions which are requiring such a long delay in this approval process, which some people feel, you know, they may or may not be able to meet. So if they can't meet them, then this is ridiculous to do a resolution.
But
But if there has to be some assurance by the town that we would not stand in the way of the name of a couple of private roads, if it's ever done, I mean, I have no objection to that. But to do a town resolution, you'll see that in print by some lawyer saying the town has taken official action to approve this road or something. I don't think we should put ourselves in that position in a situation which is a bit contested like that Landskill development is.
I mean, it looks like, to me, like we're just approving the names, where, when, and how should they ever come to pass. And whether they come to pass or not is dependent on the actions of the planning board, among other things.
Well, I'm gonna vote no. I mean, that's just, you asked a discussion, and that's my point.
Yeah, because it says that in number 1, it says, subject to the further provisions of the applicable subdivision plat and the site plan, and subject to compliance with the highway specifications and other requirements of law.
What I'm saying in today's climate, once an official government action is taken by resolution, some people have a way of putting a spin on that as though it approves something.
You do have to
And to
watch those
me-
lawyers, yeah.
Huh?
You do have to watch those lawyers.
Of course you do. But I mean, the spin can be put on by an engineer also.
Well, absolutely.
So it's just in that vein that I think it's premature, it's a little bit early to be asking us to do resolutions on a project that is really being contested before the planning board.
If we put this aside and don't act on it, what does that do to the planning board?
You know, let them bring it to us again after they can tell us they've got everything, all the conditions are met except this. Well, obviously then, you know, I would have no objection to it if that's the only thing standing in their way.
So
But,
Bill, I think our attorney tried to put some language in there to maybe capture your concern. Do you think that
No.
that could be expanded upon
No.
to make you feel better? It's the fact
No,
that
I'm
we're
talking about an
taking this
official
step.
act of government is a town board resolution. It should have a serious official, you know, it's an official document with a stamp of approval by the town. And so that's what I'm opposed to, and no language is gonna change that. It's just that it's early for them to ask us for that resolution, in my opinion. And it can be misperceived by some people.
And you're saying it can have unintended consequences.
I think he's saying it
Well, I don't know
would, he
about that,
doesn't want
Harry,
it to
but
be
it's like,
construed as
why
approval.
do it if there's
No, I-
really other conditions that have to be met far superior to the name on a road?
I mean, I'm not in any rush to do it.
Well, if we don't do it, then let's just keep it on agenda, and, you know, then we should follow up every meeting or so and see where they are meeting their other conditions.
No
if you
problem
don't
with
mind.
that, no problem
From
with that.
tonight, Bill, I don't have a problem with that either. Just as long as, you know, it doesn't, they get all the other approvals and have to wait a month
Yeah,
or two
no, I
for us to
agree,
do
no, I
this.
agree
yeah.
with you, Jim. No.
Okay, well, let's take this up again at our next meeting then, if we would please, or at least let's look at it again and let's maybe.
Well, maybe we can find out a little more, and maybe
Yeah,
we don't
are
have to
we-
do it for another year or two.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be that long, Harry, but.
Well, the way it's been going on, could be.
Yeah, You know, maybe we could ask our attorney to give us some background on when typically during the process that this would transpire, if this is not a typical, okay. Well, I don't want us to be seen as dragging, so. Okay, but next meeting, let's see if that's something we want to tackle or revise. All right, where are we on our agenda? We have,
7.
very simply, 7, and there's nothing to look at. So, our next scheduled meeting, February and March, is that unusual month where our fourth Wednesday is actually just 8 days after our second Tuesday. And so I'd like to spread out the meetings, and in light of the fact that 3 of us will be down at the Association of Towns next week. So my proposal is that we change the February 22nd meeting to be March 1st. I recognize that's Ash Wednesday, so I do apologize. To those of you at home, we hope that you can still celebrate Ash Wednesday and come to the meeting in person, or either watch it delayed through cable. Also, the March meeting is scheduled for March 22nd, just 8 days after March 14th. So I'm proposing we reschedule that meeting to March 29th. That will give us essentially a couple weeks in between each meeting, enough time to conduct business efficiently. Are we okay with that? I know Sarah is, even though she's not here tonight.
I'm fine with it.
Well, Sarah has on her a schedule shortly after March, some very exciting things.
Anyway, we don't need a resolution, right? You just want to
Just
tell
a
me-
motion?
You want a motion? I'll make a motion to that effect.
Thank you very much. I will second your motion since I haven't seconded anything. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just to reiterate, Robert, the
Yes, sir.
February 22nd meeting is now March 1st?
March 1st, yeah.
And March 22nd is now March 29th.
Exactly right. And if you can't find your notes, it's exactly 1 week after it was scheduled to occur, the 2nd.
I have no objection.
And we may want to consider having it be the last Wednesday of each month, and then we don't have to do this occasionally, instead of the fourth Wednesday.
Yeah,
Just a thought. Correspondence. We have correspondence. The one correspondence I'm sharing with you is from the Red Hook Area Council of Churches, wrote to me. I've had a lot
They
of,
write to you, they wrote to Senator Schumer.
well, they did, and they gave
I
me
don't
a
think it's
copy.
appropriate to even read it, but go
Okay,
ahead.
well, I won't read it then. But just suffice it to say that there are individuals and organizations wanting to ensure that folks in our community feel safe in the current environment, and we would like to remind the public that we don't maintain a local police force here, and so we cannot direct a police force to do or not to do anything in particular. But we want everyone to know that we value our community, and that obviously we want folks to feel safe in our community. And to that extent, whatever we can do to assist people in feeling safe in the community, please do let us know. So that's the correspondence, and does anybody else have any correspondence? If not, I would entertain a motion, first of all, to accept some public comments before we close. Linda, would you like to make some more comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, I want to put it on the record that during the January 25th agenda for this town meeting, it did not have the item of food truck on it. Yet, when the meeting was in progress, and I watched it on Panda, it had the food truck as an item. And I viewed that as a means of not informing me, because I would have been here for that. So I take offense, and nobody apologized to me. Okay, number two. the sign at the back door. Okay, you can't use that back door for meetings because there's no automatic opener. If a person in a wheelchair was at the door, they could not open that up. They would slide back, and you're gonna have a very bad accident occurring, so you'll get sued. It also says for employees only. All others go to the front door. So somebody's gonna go there, they can't get in because it says go to the front door. And any other sign you put up, it has to be in Braille. The other thing, I've had several people talk to me about the intermunicipal task force as far as being on Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. People work and they would like to attend these meetings, but they can't get there because they work. So my suggestion is to reduce the number of meetings to say 2 per month and have one an early meeting and one an evening meeting so people can at least get to a meeting. These meetings are not on Panda, and being with locked doors, they're secret and not having official minutes. People don't know what's going on. We have to rectify this. It's nice that you're putting your things up there to try and be transparent. I hope the rest of you follow through. I'm a watchdog, that's what I am. And I'll be here to watch you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Linda. Okay. That concludes our agenda items. I would like to make a motion that we go into a attorney-client session and wish everyone at home a happy Valentine's Day. Is there a second to my motion? It includes happy Valentine's Day, by the way.
Seconds.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.